In this unit, we are going to learn how to set up a HMS model. Before we do that, let's see the data that is provided to us. So you have three data sets here. The first data set is Cedar underscore DEM. So this is a DEM in TIFF format. We have another raster CN grid, which we created in the previous module, and then we have an Excel file called Cedar observed. So we are going to create a HMS model for Cedar Creek. This is the same watershed we have used before in other modules. Now in order to complete this unit and module, you need HMS. So HMS is a free software that you can download from the US Army Corps of Engineers, and the link is provided to you in the handout, and the version that we are going to use is 4.7.1. So assuming that you have installed HMS 4.7.1, let's go ahead and open the program. So you can either type here in the search and open HMS 4.7.1, or if you have a desktop shortcut, you can use that. So once you open HMS, this is how it looks. This has four windows. The one on the top left where you see the cursor moving, this is called Watershed Explorer. Below that, where you see the cursor moving, this is called Component Editor. And this gray area, this area is called Desktop. And now that HMS also has GIS capabilities, if you want, we can also call this as Map. And below that, we have Message Log. So let's go ahead and create an empty project. So to do that, you will go to File and click New. So the name that we are going to give to our model is Cedar Creek. So C capital for Cedar and again C capital for Creek and no space. Let's give a brief description here. HMS model for Cedar Creek. We will provide a location, so I'm going to use the same location where I have all the data. So this is going to be in C class HMS. So this is the folder where all my data for this unit or module are saved, and then our default unit system is metric. And let's go ahead and say create. So after you create the model, I'm going to adjust the interface here a little bit. So I will just expand this so our map or desktop is large. So once you create the model, all you have is an empty folder here. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to bring in the terrain or DEM data, and to do that we will go to component and create component, and we'll see terrain data. We will call this terrain as Cedar. If you want, you can also name it as Cedar Creek. So let's keep it short as Cedar. Next. So then here we will browse to Cedar DEM, that TIFF file. So click on the browse button. So go to C class HMS, and then I have this Cedar underscore DEM TIFF. Select, and vertical units is meters, and say finish. Now if you have a different DEM and if it has different vertical units, you can change that depending on the units you have. So in this case we are given a DEM that has vertical units in meters, so finish. And after you do that, you do not see anything on the desktop or map yet, but you will see this terrain folder created, and then there is a Cedar DEM here, which again you will not see on the map, you just see the name. So in order for that to become visible, we have to create the basin model, which we don't have inside Cedar Creek. So to create the basin model, we'll again go to components. So now we'll do basin model manager and say new. So we will again name this as Cedar Creek, and description is again basin model for Cedar Creek. Create and close the window, and then you will see a folder here in the Explorer window that there is a folder called basin models, and we named it as Cedar Creek. And after you click on that, you will see this empty interface or empty window. So now what we will do is we will specify the coordinate system for this empty window so it can pull up the terrain for Cedar Creek. So to do that, we are going to assign the coordinate system. To assign the coordinate system, we'll go to GIS coordinate system. In the coordinate system window, we have two options. One is to browse to a projection file that has our coordinate system defined. The other one is to use this predefined option. We have used Cedar Creek before, and we know that it is in UTM zone 16 north. So let's go ahead and use the predefined option. So click on predefined and then type we have UTM, and then it asks you UTM zone. So this is 16 and the hemisphere is northern, and datum is NAD 83, which is what we have used before. So select, and you will see all the parameters of that spatial coordinate system, and then we'll click on set. After you do that, the terrain should show up here, and in some cases it may not show up. So if the terrain doesn't show up, what you will see here in the Explorer window, we have Cedar Creek, and if you click on this, you will see the components associated with it, and you can see right now the terrain data is none, so we can go and change that to Cedar. And then it may take some time to just refresh the map, and then you should be able to see the DEM on the desktop window or map window. Now if you want to change the symbology of this, so this working with this DEM is now like working with DEM in ArcGIS, so it's just another GIS interface. If you want to change the symbology of this, you can right click on the map and say map layers, and then you can click on draw properties. So this is again, as I mentioned, a different GIS interface. So if you want to play around with some of these color ramps, you can do that. So if you change, you will have different color, and if you like something, you can click apply and the symbology will change. So in this case, we will just keep it default and we will just close without changing anything. So it asks, do you want to save the edits? And we will exit without saving the edits and close this. So save your project. So we have set up the HMS model now in order to start the terrain pre-processing. which is going to be similar to what we have done before in ArcGIS Spatial Analyst for watershed delineation and with ArcHydro tools. So for this unit, save your project and we'll do the terrain pre-processing in the next unit.